Ladies and gentlemen, I'm told there are more than 500 participants listening to some of the best minds, best CEOs in the country. So keep listening as I move on to our third hero, which is Hari. And Hari is, as you know, is the head of BigBasket, which is like in the middle of all the action right now. So Hari, straight to you and your, take on what are the top things that you would do, or you and your team would do during these tough times.
So Ajay, I'm going to start with my favorite, as I call the COVID theme, is something that I've learned the hard way over the last 1 month, and really learned it the hard way. And I've coined it, by saying maybe I'll write about it, a few months later. And that theme is called, how do you do more with less, right? Fundamentally, we actually never shut, right? So we've been operating right through. So there's no question of starting back and starting all over again. We went through a horrendous last 1 month. It's got a little better now, but I don't want to talk about it right now because it's we've gone through experiences which are absolutely unprecedented, which we've never seen before. People getting beaten up, getting thrown into police stations, put behind bars, etc., etc. We've gone through all of that. When we started operations, during COVID, just during the lockdown. I must also state that the government has been absolutely outstanding. In terms of the support that we got in the initial 2-3 days. They got us up and running in about 2 days because we had to shut for 2 days because all our people just ran away when all these atrocities happened and stuff. So so coming back, I think through this period, the one thing I've learned is that we must figure out how we are going to do more with less. And this is a theme I am actually getting right across my organization. It's worked really well. And let me give you a few examples, right? What it means, we are absolutely desperately short of people, right? And as we speak right now, today I can hire 5,300 people, right? Just to kind of meet what I call the COVID demand. And it was 12,000 people, just a couple of weeks back, and we've just been hiring because all our people went away. And so we've learned how to really tweak processes and tweak technology to make sure that we just up productivity to such an extent that we're able to deliver the same level that we were doing pre-COVID with almost half the number of people. And that is what caused that theme. And then it extends to things like how do you make cash last longer? How do you do things that will make sure that you don't have to go to markets again to raise money for quite some time because that's not going to be available. How do you make work from home very effective? And we've just enjoyed this last 1 month. It's been real great fun doing this because of productivity going up, because people are finding themselves a lot more productive at home. I completely agree with Varun. All meetings start on time. There is absolutely no delay. Nobody just coming from different floors, joining, 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later. Everybody bang on is there on time. Meetings finish on time. The days are planned and organized so well. And so in the process, what's happened is we're giving up, a couple of floors in our office. Already done that, and so that's going to save costs and goes back to that same theme of how do you do more with less. So that's one thing that me and my team are driving across the organization. It's also applying personally. I'm finding that in the last 1 month, we've all learned how to do more with less, right? So we buy just the essentials, just few basic things that you operate with. You don't have all the luxuries that you want, but you're still enjoying it and having fun, which and hence I know it's really working. That's one. The second critical thing that I need to drive and we need to drive across the organization is safety, right? It is so critical. We've never had this worry. We've never had this problem in the past of making sure that we create such stringent protocols to make sure that, one, our employees are safe, because, we've got about 30,000 people right now, right out there, going every day to our distribution centers, to our hubs, going and delivering groceries to customers, etc., etc. So essentially, I think we just need to get better and better as far as safety is concerned, be it social distancing, be it, temperature measurement, be it sanitization across all our places. From a customer standpoint, we've done so much to make sure that they are safe too. For example, very quickly, we kind of got what's called contactless delivery in. where the customer doesn't have to even see the delivery boy. All they have to do is leave a bag outside, we just deliver and go. Thanks to which we had to move, systems to do only, prepaid orders. So cash on delivery is out so that there's no cash handling. So we did a lot to make sure that a lot of safety protocols are built in, and we just need to get better and better. We are expecting a few people to get back to office, but that's going to be very few in our corporate side. So we're already thinking of what we need to do there to kind of make sure that transport is taken care of, the way they sit is taken care of, the way they eat in our canteens is taken care of, etc. So that's the second thing. I think building safety protocols, something that we've never done before, just needs to get stronger and stronger to make sure that employees are safe and customers are safe. And that's the second point. Number three is basically, as an organization, we are starting to get geared on trying to figure out what are the consumer behavioral changes that are going to come around, right? Right now, it's very simple. People are just buying, basic essentials, right? Absolutely basic essentials. We used to have about 40,000 products in our catalog pre-COVID. We are now down to 3,000, right? And some of those critical ones are what I think Varun sells to us, stuff from Britannia and stuff. But 3,000 to 38,000, right? So right now it's pretty simple, right? It just is just easier to manage because you have smaller number of SKUs, and so some of those constraints, don't worry us. But as we go forward, we need to be clear on what's going to happen in terms of consumer behavior. Are people going to have enough money to spend? What's going to be average order sizes going forward? What are people going to look for? Is what we need to work on, and that's number three. So we've got a separate team really sitting right now and figuring out, as things open up, going forward, what are the things that should bring back, right? There's no point in bringing all the 35,000 SKUs back. It's only going to put a lot of pressure on us. But we need to bring back stuff, and hence the understanding of changes in consumer behavior going forward is very critical. That's number three. Number four, very clearly, and this I think should have been number one, but it's something that we are actually working on for the future, is how do we build for scale? Very, very clearly, what the trend is that things are going to move online. That's very, very clear, right? I think there's fear going to stores, social distancing, standing there, physically contacting people, etc., etc. And hence, there is going to be a very, very serious movement that's going to happen, with people moving online. And that puts serious pressure on all the online players. Let me give you a sense of some numbers, right? The online grocery business in India, the grocery business in India, the food and grocery business in India is about $700 to $800 billion, okay, in that range. That's the entire food and grocery business. The online business is 1% of that, okay? The modern trade that we call, which is the Reliances of the world, the DMarts of the world, the future, big bazaars of the world, is 4%. Modern trade plus online put together in grocery is just 5%, right? 95% is the kirana business, is the mom and pop business, is the stuff that happens in tier 3, tier 4 towns. And that's the size of the business. Now, as soon as COVID hit, the expectation was that 1% suddenly becomes 20, 30, 40, 50%. Because suddenly we had everybody wanting to go online because nothing was open, nothing was available. So overnight, from being a $1 billion business, you're expected to become a $300 billion business. And that's not possible. And that's what's caused, a lot of pain. The narrative was that, we aren't getting it right, etc., etc. But to give you a similar number, when the lockdown happened, we were down to some 20,000 orders or 25,000 orders, right? From a normal of 150,000 orders that we normally do. We are now doing 300,000 orders a day, right? And that's the scale that we bought. Much, much higher than pre-COVID, but you still get big bets because, you're still not meeting what we call the COVID demand. And that's what a separate team is sitting and working on, is that how do you build for scale? So the team is looking at scale. The team is looking at consumer behavior changes. So it tells us what exactly we should be selling and not selling. And when I say scale, it includes all aspects of scale: people, infrastructure, vans, etc., assets, blah, 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 right? That we need to do. And lastly, I think one of the things that I've learned again, the hard way right through this 1 month is that it's absolutely critical to communicate. And that's what we constantly need to do. Varun talked about town halls. We've talked about daily meetings internally. I have reached out to customers using social media. when all the bashing was going on, and that helped created a lot of empathy just to explain to customers what we're going through and what the cause and what the reason for all this is. And that helps. And so the critical thing to do at this stage is basically communicate. Employees, customers, stakeholders, and make sure that everybody is in sync with you in terms of what you're doing. So Ajay, those are my 5 things.
Excellent, Hari. We know the story of how BigBasket has, in these tough times, been one of the winners in terms of going to zero and then scaling up almost back to where you were pre-COVID. And what I loved the most in what Hari you said was doing more with less. And I think that's something which we will talk about in detail a little bit later. Also, on consumer preferences, the changes, which is a bit more strategic topic. And similarly with employees, while connectivity and all that in the short run is great to keep the team going, but the anxiety at job losses, pay cuts and all that, how do you manage that imbroglio? And we'll talk about that in a moment.